Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. I hope you're all well. Hope you're enjoying the darkness that has now come to the UK. If you're not listening in the UK, I hope you're enjoying the sunshine because it's fully winter here. It's a little grim, but we've got lots of fast racing to talk through as the World Cup Series finishes out in Singapore. And boy, oh boy, do we have fast swimming to talk about. They saved the best till last.
Yeah, going back to the cold and the darkness, I'm actually now having to wear joggers in the morning rather than just shorts, which is quite
typical
depressing.
PE teacher problem.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Going back to the World Cup Series, I'll tell you what a way to end the World Cup Series. We were told last week by last week's guest, Adam Chillingworth, that the Singapore pool was fast. And I'll tell you what, he wasn't wrong, was he? Oh. Loads of records broken, whether that was British, Asian, American, European, and of course, World Cup records and world records as well. We've got quite a few races to go through this week.
Yes. Before we get to those races, though, I do want to say Singapore World Championships 2025, long course World Championships next year. I would hazard a guess at all of these world record predictions that everyone, including us, said before the Olympic Games start to come true. Because when you've got the likes of Leon Marchand in the short course pool, in the same pool that he'll be racing in this summer, breaking a Ryan Lochte 200 IM world record.
Smashing it.
Destroying it to pieces.
Yeah.
It's a fast pool. Hopefully long course is exactly the same and it's not a bouncy boom. I would have thought, though, heading into predictions when we get to it in next summer, when the sun finally comes back out again, we're going to be very, very optimistic.
I mean, we're always optimistic.
Yeah, that's true.
But then when you throw, like you say, Marchand, we'll get to him obviously at some point, but to smash a Ryan Lochte record, and he's going to hopefully do it again long course, that's arguably a better world record as well, the 200
Fingers crossed.
Then, we're on for something special. And of course, when you get other swimmers like Kaylee coming back, for example, and Regan Smith is obviously flying as well. Again, we'll get to her. There's a good chance that a couple of world records go, or not a couple, but numerous records go.
I mean, there's still short course racing yet this year to finish the year out in Budapest, which is no sloucher for pool as well.
That's also a fast pool.
Yeah. That's an incredibly fast pool. And the fields are going to get deeper. Yep. While there's been a few world-class swimmers on the World Cup Series, they've not been the deepest of fields in some events. I would have thought a lot go to Budapest with high hopes of some very fast times. Okay, so let's start this final World Cup review stop as we've started the rest of them so far with Duncan Scott. He has been the standout Brit, at times the only Brit racing, at all of these legs, and he finishes off his 3 weeks of racing with a 139.83 British record in the 200 metres freestyle. I think he's the 4th fastest swimmer of all time, the 5th fastest time of all time.
Yeah.
And he's, in the space of 3 weeks, knocked about half a second off the British record. To go sub 140 off the back of an Olympic Games, really, and 3 weeks travel, 3 weeks racing, 3 hard weeks racing. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's rapid, isn't it? We were kind of questioning last week, saying, are these swimmers going to be feeling the fatigue after, 3 weeks of quite intense racing? Of course, it's travelling as well on top of that, which you don't really get to see. But he seems to be a swimmer that thrives off it. He likes the deep programs, and he just loves to race, and he loves the hard work, I suppose, the hard graft. And I'll tell you what, it's paid off, and it's not just a 200 freestyle as well. That 400 free British record as well, 343, 334.4. Not only British record, but a Commonwealth record as well, which formerly Grant Huckett's from 20 years ago. Insane. And it's just a massive chunk of the British record, like almost 2 seconds off Jimmy Guy's time. He swam well, didn't he? He did all right.
Oh, yeah. I said after the first stop in Shanghai that I thought Duncan's going to win multiple golds when it comes to Budapest and the short course pool, like the culmination of the short course season. I stand by that again. I don't think anyone's going to get anywhere near him in the 200 metres freestyle.
It doesn't seem that way, does it? I mean, that's a pretty stacked field as it is. I'm sure there's swimmers to go in, obviously, but it's still there's
he beat Leon
names.
Marchand by over a second in that race.
Yeah, and it was kind of the same last week as well. He was beating people by quite a bit of a distance, and I think again, being hopeful and optimistic, but I think he's going in as favourite, and he probably will bring home a couple of golds in Budapest in a couple of weeks' time.
And he was a lead article on BBC Sport for a little time. We've always said that his profile, and if you look at his achievements across the board, should kind of be about, maybe not quite Adam's level, but he is certainly the second. The profile-wise should be so much bigger than it is. And I think it's getting there. I really think it's getting there.
In Scotland, he's massive.
Yeah, sure.
But when it comes to, let's say, the UK, it's not
in a broader
as
sports.
big as it probably should be. But based on his achievements, multiple Olympic medalist. I suppose the only thing he's missing is an individual gold, I guess, which kind of then separates him out from, let's say, Adam, for example, and a world record individual. And that's that
start of an Olympic cycle. We don't need to be talking.
Oh, we don't. No,
God,
right now, we don't need to do that. I mean, the times that he's hit is absolutely phenomenal. The fact that he's done that, like you say, coming off Olympics and having a bit of a break and intensive week. I know the part of the pool is fast, but that's some session he's done there.
And overall on the World Cup Series, he comes in third overall, so he gets himself a very nice payday. And we'll talk about the paydays at the end of this podcast because they're eye-watering. They are massive.
Yeah.
The man who won the overall series was Leon Marchand, of course. World record in the 200 meters individual medley. Not just a world record. He obliterates it by almost a second.
Yeah.
And considering no one had been near, sub 150 recently.
No, I know.
For him to go a 148.88 gives me massive confidence that he is going to do the unthinkable and beat Lochtey's long course record later on in the year when he finally starts training properly. He's only been back in the pool 2 months.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's just it baffles me to think that someone's going to go a 153 and get that world record, and he looks like he's going to do it. Just honestly incredible. You're going to run out of accolades and superlatives for him because we've said that about Phelps, because he's obviously incredible, but Marchand is, nigh on the same kind of thing. Just stunning. And it's not just the 200 iron that you said that was the world record, but he's now the second person ever to go sub 50 in the 100. Now, I don't consider him a 100 meter swimmer. I say 2 and 4 upwards, let's say. But I
think that's the skills that he's got. Like we saw at the Olympics, how good his final turn was in the 200 IM. We all know short course is all about the underwater skills. It's less about what you're doing on top of the water.
And 100 IM is very much a showcase of that because you don't see them on top at all. They're doing 50 meters off every single wall, and it's just a case of how good are you at doing that, which you see about Kate Douglas as well, which we'll get onto probably next actually.
Leon Marchand, of course, ends the World Cup Series with a triple. He wins the 100, 200, 400 IM. He doesn't add anything to that elsewhere in terms of he could have done the triple in. I think we thought maybe the breaststroke events he might pop up, but they were at the end of a long schedule, and the 400 IM was in the same session as the 2 breaststroke, which obviously has clashes when it's only a 3-day meet. But undoubtedly right now he is some swimmer in IM.
Yeah.
On the women's side then, the overall winner was Kate Douglas, like you said. Again, another world record that has been absolutely obliterated. The 200 metres breaststroke, she's on a 2:12.72. So to put this into perspective, coming into 2024, her fastest time before this year, short course meters, in 2022, when she became world champion, was a 2:15.7. And the world record before this World Cup Series was a 2:14.3, was a 2:14.5 from Rebecca Soni, because Yefimov's world record is tainted with doping.
Yeah.
She's knocked a second and a half off the world record and almost 3 seconds off her personal best in the space of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, that's age group drops.
But this is the thing with short course racing, because it's all underwater, and we said this at the Paris Olympics that we thought that she would win the 200 breaststroke just because of the breaststroke pull-up that she does, and because she has more of them, obviously, short course. She takes chunks out of the field. I mean, she won the race by 6 seconds. She's swimming by herself.
There was nowhere near her, no.
Ridiculous.
She still went 2:12.
2:12.7. Yeah, for a 200 breaststroke. Some people would be happy with that. 200 IM. Incredible, honestly, incredible. And it wasn't just that race, that was obviously the highlight for her, but she broke a couple of American records as well. A 50 fly, Very close to the world record in that one, actually. 400ths off, and that was a super suit world record as well. So kind of unlucky on that front. And then a very solid 100 free where she went 50.82 as well. So, yeah, she was another swimmer that went the triple crown for the 200 breaststroke, 50 fly, and 100 IM. I mean, it doesn't get too much more versatile than that, does it?
No, that's what wins you the overall crown, essentially. Those two were nigh on perfect, getting triple crowns and world records in a few of the events.
Yeah.
I think it just shows like when these Americans, because they all race short course yards, and then we only ever really see them on the World Cup circuit, the big ones, turn up for the Olympics. Because the Olympics has always been the pinnacle of their programs over there. It's either that or NCAAs. Yep. They don't really target December racing or October, November racing and short course meters. But World Aquatics have done really well to get Kate Douglas and the next swimmer we're talking about, Regan Smith, in this short course meters pool. Because no one really knows what they're capable of. And there's world records there to be broken because these guys, they crush short course yards.
Yep.
It's obvious that they were going to do well, and you've just seen she's dropped the world record by 1.5 seconds. Yep. So maybe these world records are not false, but swimmers are capable.
Very
if
achievable.
all of the world's best swimmers really put all of their energy into short course meters like they do Olympics, a lot of these world records would be a lot faster, I think.
They would, yeah. I mean, we'll get to prize money again, but each world record that they hit is a $10,000 bonus. So, of course, when you've got someone like Regan Smith who broke 2 world records in Singapore alone, plus another world record in
this is
100
what
back the week before, that's suddenly $30,000 for just doing 3 swims.
And I think that's a good incentive by World Aquatics to do this, to bring swimmers. And we were on a long road trip this weekend for a fun project that's going to be coming out soon. And we had the conversation that, look, swimming is a once every 4-year sport. We hate saying that. It is. In terms of public opinion, it's a once every 4-year sport. And maybe instead of trying to grow that Olympic format and that Olympic pool and trying to expand that, you've got this new format. ISL did it really well. You've got a short course.
New World Series has been around for a bit. But
you know what I mean? You've got this format that is extremely fast, extremely exciting racing. We did the comparison, like, if you're not British, you're not going to get this. We did the comparison between rugby union and rugby sevens. You've got this other format that could be hugely exciting week in, week out, and could create a career in swimming like ISL did for the likes of like Coleman Stewart and people like that.
Yep.
And maybe swimming needs to lean a little bit harder into short course meters because it's fun. Like the past 3 weeks have been fun. They've been fast.
Well, it's a bit more of a spectacle. I mean, I think we've both done open meets, long course open meets, and they're not exciting, are they? They need to be a bit more sort of frantic, a bit more. The races need to be a bit snappier. They need to be done in 2 hours, like Arena League, for example. Whereas open meets go on all day, and it gets a little bit sort of tedious. And these sort of meets, they're over in 2 hours. I know it's over 3 days, but that's fine. And that's the same for NCAAs, and that's why I think there's a bit more of an audience for that, because they're a bit more invested at the beginning, if that makes sense.
I think if there's going to be a professional format for swimming outside of the Olympics, it's going to be short course.
It needs to be. I think it does. It needs to be short course. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so speaking of one of these, like we've gone on a big tangent there. Speaking on one of these Americans who showed up and we've never really seen short course meters. So Regan Smith, you said 2 world records at this stop. The 100 back now, she's, I think, 0.2, 0.3 ahead of where Kaylee McEwen left the world record at the start of
I think so.
Of the short course season this year. I mean, those two are going to be taking chunks off world records whenever they're really in the pool.
Yeah,
it's a phenomenal place for women's swimming to be in, and hopefully someone can get up to this level. Otherwise, it's going to be gold and silver guaranteed for a while. But she also breaks the 2 back. She takes that off Kaylee. I mean, I think it's a friendly rivalry at this point. I think it's a bit of fun between the both of them. And there's really no one else that's anywhere near them.
No, and I think that's a good thing that it is a friendly. What comes across as a friendly rivalry. I'm sure leading up into Paris, it must have been a little bit of loggerheads. But even though you saw a reel actually from World Aquatics, and they were high fiving the I don't know, the person who sends them out before the race, so it's all very happy in a cool room. And they obviously, I think Regan Smith is very much a confident swimmer, and now obviously absolutely full of it. And so going into the Worlds, Regan's just, I think, potentially, because Budapest, again, is a fast pool, this
these
world records are just going to keep going, aren't they?
Yeah.
She'll just keep on going and take little snippets off every now and again. And can you imagine if she does eventually maybe go like sub 54 for 100 back? Honestly, mental sort of speed. But again, that just showcases the skill in the underwater works that the Americans are extremely good at because of the collegiate system short course yards.
And then the other swimmers who rounded out the essentially the overall rankings, like the top 3 for men and top 3 for women. So we've talked about 4 of the 6. The other 2 were Noe Ponti, who set a world record in the 50 meters butterfly. And have you watched the race, Dan? Because his turnover, like the speed that his stroke is going at, is nuts to me. I watched that, and he's got an incredibly good 100 fly stroke, and then this is just on 2 times speed.
Just swing,
it's
swing.
And he's obviously getting a catch because he's gone a 21.5. But to move your arms that fast through and over the top of the water is something doing.
Well, I think that about Sostrom, to be fair, because there's no gliding whatsoever, obviously, in a 50 meter, and then she's almost entering and just catching immediately and just swinging the arms over and over and over. It's incredibly
stunning.
high stroke rate, and Noe Ponti's kind of the same, where it's just swing the arms over. The underwater work is obviously incredible, but when he's actually swimming, it's got to be relatively flat, otherwise you can't get the arms over quick enough.
He's really made a name for himself in this World Cup series.
Well, very much so.
Just in the broader scheme of world swimming, public opinion, he's now right up there as, everyone wants to see what he does. Everyone's tuning into his results, and everyone's going to be paying attention, whether it's short course or long course, let's be honest. Because his long course 100 fly is top 5 in the world.
Yes, I would say so, yeah. And it does help that obviously Marchand is the poster boy of swimming right now, and the fact that you gave him a really good run for his money in the 100 IM.
Yeah.
That's a good sort of profile building exercise as well, if you like.
Yeah.
Got a Swiss record in that as well, so he's getting quicker and quicker. I mean, he's just incredible at the moment, and that world record, that in the 50 fly, did that in the morning heats. Couldn't quite pack it up in the finals, but he's doing very well.
And then the other swimmer who rounded out the top swimmers was Siobhan Jorge. She came in 3rd place and showed her diversity across the rounds, getting faster in the 100 free, the 200 free. She's got a good breaststroke as well. We spoke a little bit more about her last week, but that is the top 6 swimmers of the series. Any other standout names for you, Dan, at this final stop in Singapore?
I suppose there were 2 Chinese swimmers. You got Pan and you got Chin Hyang as well. Pan, I suppose, if you want to call it a peak, but he peaked in career, I would say, where he actually did really well in the 400 and the 800. He then this week raced a 200, got a Chinese record in that 141, which is no slouch. And then Chin Hyang was equal to his 100 breaststroke World Cup record, which I believe was Van der Berg's in the 100. I think I said that, and got a triple crown as well. So I mean, that was pretty much the highlight of every swimmer from this week, I would say, unless there's any others you can kind of think of.
No, I think that's about it. So, rounding out the World Cup series then, we had 8 world records total, like including ones that got not broken more than once, if that makes sense. So there's not 8 new world records on the book, but a world record got broken 8 times, which means World Aquatics had to pay out 80,000 in that.
Just for
and
that
then
alone.
we had 10 triple crowns and 18 events triple crowns.
Yeah, so 10 swimmers.
Is that for real?
18,
Oh my
18
gosh.
events, yeah. So obviously you got that, a 6 with just Douglass and Marchand alone. So,
Wow.
And again, I can't remember how much that is for a triple crown.
I think it was like 12,000, wasn't it?
Was it something like that? Again, let's just round it for easier sakes. There's another 10,000. So there's a lot of money that World Aquatics have just spent out. I think they had an overall prize pot of 1.2, 1.3 million, something along those lines.
I think it was higher.
Was it higher than that?
And I'd struggle to see that they broke even on it, if I'm honest. But
I think they lost, if I'm honest. I think they've lost money. I mean, it's great for the swimmers, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in terms of an actual, let's say, business as World Aquatics, I think that's a bit of a loss. But again, it might be a case of take the loss now, build up the sport, build up these swimmers.
it's the right thing to do.
Definitely.
As an organizer.
And they took it over to Asia, obviously, and it's obviously worked really well in Shanghai, where it was packed. But I think it was probably the right thing to do to try and promote the World Cup series as a whole. And then hopefully years down the line, it will get bigger and bigger, and then profit may actually start to come in.
So the money made overall, the top 5 swimmers were Kate Douglas with $184,000, Leon Marchand For Regan Smith, 152, Noe Ponti, 142, and Duncan Scott with 59. That is 59,000. That is. That is a good 3 weeks' work for a swimmer. You'll struggle to find better paydays out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, the hourly rate is extremely high, isn't it, based on that?
If you work it out with time in the race.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think I said this last 2 weeks, actually. It makes sense for swimmers to literally target this.
Yeah.
If that's the amount of money that's on the table for these Triple Crowns, for these world records, for everything. Just to be there, actually. I think a lot of these swimmers actually got money to go. So, if you're rounding, $200,000 is that should last you a good couple of years, shouldn't it, in your career? So,
Maybe. Yeah. So what to look forward to then over the next few months, Dan? Because we've finished the year strong in the short course scene. Me and you are going to be previewing and talking about BUCS a little bit over the next few episodes. I'm going to be there for the whole weekend, actually getting footage and sharing loads on our social media because we're really keen to push the university scene in this country just that little bit harder. It's a meet that me and you love. For the bigger guys or for the worldwide scene of swimming, there is obviously World Short Course Championships in Budapest. We've spoken a lot about it over the next 3 weeks, but who are you most looking forward to and what world records could
oh boy, here we go
now?
I think
should we start this with Duncan?
The names are kind of obvious. We'll start with Duncan because we basically already said it. I think he's going in as favourite for the 200 free,
maybe the
400 free.
If he swims a 3:34 again,
yeah, quite possibly. I actually don't know what the world record is on that.
That is, it's going to be a stupid Biedermann. No, it's a Yannick Angel 3:32.2.
Oh, it's a little bit out of reach, I suppose.
That's a bit fast.
But that is quick. So
I think is the 2 free world record out of reach now? I mean, he's only half a second off.
Yeah, well, again, he's dropping a lot of time. I don't know where he can make these drops in time and what sort of 50s he needs to work on more, because he has been attacking the races quite hard and then coming holding on.
It's another block of training before it, really.
It is, I suppose.
Another month.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him. It's not out of his reach. I don't know if that's part of his aim to go and do that, but I think the gold is probably the biggest aim, and I think that you might be right. The 400 free is also within his capabilities of winning that. It's just a shame that Marchand's going to be there for the 200 IM, otherwise he'd probably win that as well. But silver looks on the cards for that. So I think he could come back with a good medal haul, just Duncan alone.
Absolutely. Marchand obviously probably favourite for the 100, 200, 400 IM. I'd love to see what he could do in the 200 fly and 200 breaststroke in a bit more of an elongated schedule, which the World Championships will be compared to the World Cup series.
Yep.
I think we can think about a world record again in the 2 IM, but I'm not sure. That swim was worldly.
Well, again, it's a fast pool, so it's not out the realms of possibility. But I'm the same as you. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him do a 200 fly and a 200 breaststroke short course, because I obviously you see him do it in the collegiate system in NCAs, but I haven't really seen him do it on the international stage, and there might be
He did do the 200 breaststroke at some of these stops, but it was a packed schedule.
Well, and then he wasn't at his best, but obviously he's a name to watch out for, and maybe 1-2 world records come his way as well.
And then Noe Ponti in the fly as well. Like the guy side, it's really exciting. We've seen a lot of the guy side actually.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
The women's side, we've seen the top 2. We've seen Regan Smith. We've seen Kate Douglas. We can expect them to challenge world records. But then Gretchen Walsh is coming over. Yes. That's exciting.
That's very good.
And maybe
Tan
potentially in the breaststroke.
Do something in 100 breaststroke, and the 50. Yeah, I forget there's 50s in the short course world as well. Yeah.
Just to see because America are bringing a whole team over for the World Championships, just to see what that yard form and yard heritage to some of the swimmers' background. That's the word I'm looking for, not heritage. To see how that translates in Budapest is going to be really, really exciting. And, swimming's going to end the year in some high, I think.
Yeah, what I like is that the Americans, not known for targeting short course meets, have gone with a pretty solid team, which is actually really exciting. I think I agree with you that the Gretchen Walsh, Regan Smith, that sort of battle will be very interesting for the fly. I mean, Regan does the 200 more than the 100, I suppose. Tori Husk, is she going? That would be
she
very
is. She's doing
exciting.
the 100 free, the 100
Yeah,
fly.
I think that. I'll tell you what, there's some races and some swimmers to watch out for at these Worlds short course. And of course the Brits, which we're not 100% sure on who's going just yet, are we?
Hopefully we'll know over the next few weeks.
But we will
Although
find
it is
out,
only
obviously.
like a month away.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Very
now
exciting,
we've
though.
recorded this podcast on a Monday night, they will let everyone know before this gets uploaded on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just about rounds up this week's episode from Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Like I said, there's some really exciting things in the pipeline. We've got one project which we'll tell a little bit more when it's on its way. We're talking BUCS. We're going to hopefully get a few swimmers on who are at BUCS. Mm-hmm. We want to build that profile, and then we'll start looking towards Worlds when we're like a week out from them, when we know a bit more of the British team, a little bit more of the rest of the world's teams, and we'll give some firm world record predictions, not the floaty ones we just gave.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll be always optimistic. I think we'll definitely do that. And I think it's very exciting. This is a good time to finish the short course season on a massive high and then go into what will be a pretty fast, based on this Singapore pool, a fast long course season. So we'll look forward to that.
Okay, so thank you very much to everyone who's listened to us over the last 3 weeks talking the World Cup series. I know it's been a little bit different. We haven't had the British guests on that we usually would. They will be coming in the new year. But until then, guys, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And me and Dan will see you guys in 7 days' time.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.